There are blessings in the setbacks that we endure. You just got to take the time to recognize for what it is, right? It's not saying that you're a failure in this moment. It's not saying that you're never going to get what you're going to have. It's not saying that you're never going to have the relationship that you want. It's not saying any of that. It's just saying right now in this present moment, you are not ready for what you are wanting to receive. Yo, welcome back, family, to another episode of Beyond the Surface. Man, I'm very grateful to be here and to be speaking to you guys. If you're new to me or the podcast, thank you so much. Please welcome. And then again, for those of you guys that have been tuning in with me and tapping in and conversating and sending messages, I appreciate you. Episode 28. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting and thinking, right? And one of the things that came up for me the other day was timing and the process of life and just how things come together when they come together. And so today's episode is going to be about divine timing, right? And trusting the process. And so my hopes is that by the end of this particular episode that you guys have a better understanding in the importance of embracing the concept of trusting the process and divine timing as you guys move throughout your self-improvement journey and, just bettering yourselves as individuals. So I'm super excited because this is one of my favorite topics. I love talking about this stuff because it's become so true for me and my experiences, which I will share with you guys a little bit later on. But I want to start off by saying I've always been the type of person who's used to instant gratification, right? Whenever I put forth effort into anything I do, I take action on something that I want. I've always been the person that's I want the reward now. I don't want to wait 2 days. I don't want to wait 2 years for things to manifest. If I put action towards something, I expect to receive it right away, right? And that's just things that I had to work on for myself because over time, I've obviously come to understand that that's not how life typically works, right? Obviously, there's going to be instances in which you do put forth action and you get an immediate result. But usually, if you think about it, for the big things that you want, right? If it relates to your finances, or if it relates to relationships, or if it relates to, big changes in your health or things in your life in general, they typically take time, right? It doesn't really happen overnight for the most part. And so I think for me, as I allowed myself to surrender to a higher power, I just begin to trust in that higher power and that knowing that I will have all that I desire when the timing is right. Now, notice I didn't say when it was on my time, because again, as I mentioned before, it's rarely on your time that things work out or that you get what you want. But it's always seemed, at least in my experience, it's always seemed to be when the timing is right and when that higher power allows that time to be right. And so that's how I wanted to kick this thing off, man. And so basically, if you guys are unaware of divine timing, it's simply the universal truth that everything happens at the right time, right? Again, you must understand that you're not in control of everything. There's a lot of things that are out of our control as humans on this planet. And so understanding the concept that you're not in full control. And so things are going to happen when they should, not when you necessarily want them to. And, things are going to show up in, multiple ways, right? It could be things that we say is a coincidence, right? It could be a gut feeling that we have, or it could be overcoming challenging obstacles. And I know that I have, a lot, at least in my experience, I have a lot of the divine timing has shown itself through challenging obstacles. And I don't know if that's because I take bigger risk or I usually go after bigger things. I'm not really sure why, but usually it's in the form of challenge for me. And I think that, through my spirituality and prayer and just, having that relationship with the higher power, that's what I needed for me. I needed to be faced with challenges to see the struggle in myself, or see where I need to overcome certain things, or just have that growth. It's been in the form of challenges for me. And so trusting the process is simply about putting yourself and having faith in a higher power, and in the midst of challenges that you face, right? It's about having an understanding that, listen, I know what I'm going through is tough, and it may be tough for a long duration, but I have an inner faith. I have an inner belief that regardless of what I'm going through and what I'm feeling, it's going to work out. Now, that's easier said than done, right? Because a lot of us haven't done the work on ourselves long enough to get ourselves to a position where we truly believe that, right, is right for us. And so, and a lot of us also have been allowed to, I would say, stay in a stagnant mindset, right? And not a growth mindset, but one where it's like you're basing all of your feelings and all of your emotions and intentions and actions and results are based on your past negative results that you've received, right? And your past negative experiences. And so you've allowed your mind to adopt this idea that it's never going to work out. I'm never going to get what I need to get. It's not for me. I'm not good enough, whatever it is. And so that's the thing that we need to overcome. That's the thing that we need to look beyond and really start to gain faith within ourselves, and obviously in a higher power. And so I think that trusting the process is having faith that, man, like, I've gone through more than several, right, challenges in which I didn't know if I was going to work out. Like, I'm like, bruh, like, as much as I wanted it to, right, I'm like, man, things ain't looking good, right? Because I'm thinking logically. I'm thinking like, okay, well, 1 + 1 = 2, right? And so, but I'm not seeing like, okay, well, if you just put forth the effort, if you just take the action, if you just become disciplined and consistent, and I'm not talking about like crazy, like military disciplined, right? I'm just saying, just be consistent, show up. Whether your effort is starting off at 50% effort, right? And it gradually goes, because the more that you condition yourself to do something over and over again, your effort is going to continue. It's going to increase, right? And your actions are going to increase, and you're going to go from maybe putting half the work in to maybe you're now doing 60, and then you're starting to see just tiny little results, right? And that increases, that gains confidence within yourself because you had the courage to start in the first place. And so just believing that all things are going to work out is a part of trusting the process. And, I don't know where you guys are at as far as your own individual situations, but I'm sure you can pick out certain results or certain experiences in your life in which you may not have gotten the result right away, or things may not have happened in the fashion that you wanted them to, in the time frame that you wanted them to. But I think you can look back. I pretty much can guarantee that at some point in your life, you can look back and say, okay, there was one instance where, right, that happened. It didn't happen in which I wanted it to, but it did happen over time. And for me, that's like the fun part, right? Of course, us being humans and we're wanting to achieve and have the things that we want, it is very frustrating to put forth action and effort and not receive what we want in the time frame that we want. But I think for me, in my mind, the beautiful thing is that once you come to understand this, everything is not meant for you to have when you want to have it, right? If you want a loving and a special relationship with a partner, and you want it right now, but you've gone through multiple breakups and you're starting to lose faith in relationships, you're starting to lose faith in people. If you just take the time to recognize what each one of those failed, right, relationships did and how it's conditioning you to be better, you're just like molding yourself to be the person that when that opportunity or that situation comes up and you meet that person, or you guys cross path, or however it comes about, you're ready. Do you understand that? Like, you're going to be the person that you need to be. And The reason, and it happened in the time frame that it needed. You needed to go through 9, 12, whatever it was, relationships before you found, I wouldn't say the one, but you found a person that was compatible, that was on your level, that met your needs, that filled your cup, right? And it wasn't meant for you to have that in the back because you weren't ready individually. You weren't ready to be that person that this new person needs you to be. Does that make sense? So like, don't get hung up over the fact that things aren't working out the way you want them to right now. Listen, you aren't ready. You're not ready for it. And so I think the sooner that we can grasp that concept that, listen, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you want, it's going to happen. As long as you're paying attention to, you're being mindful, right, of what's going on inside you and outside of you. What does that mean? You're paying attention to how you think. You're paying attention to how you feel. You're paying attention to how you react to certain situations, right? You're also paying attention to the outside circumstances. What's going on? Who are you being influenced by? What are your surroundings, right? Things of that nature. So pay attention to those things, taking action, making effort, being consistent, showing up each day, trying, even though you may fail 10, 11, 12, who knows, on that 13th try, on that 13th relationship, right? On that 13th investment, that might be the one. You don't know. So, but again, it doesn't matter what the number is. It doesn't matter the time frame. If you truly believe and have faith that it is going to work out, it is inevitable that you're going to be successful. It is inevitable that you're going to find a beautiful woman, that you're going to find a beautiful, strong man. It's inevitable, right? You just got to play your part. You just got to, right? Keep showing up, right? Keep being grateful. Keep learning. Never stop learning, right? And eventually, as of where I am at right now, I'm getting there. Like I'm moving. So, I'll share my work experience. I'll start with that because that's an easier one. But I'll share my work experience here in just a little bit. But I want to talk about the importance of patience and faith, right? So I'm going to share with you guys my morning prayer, right? It's real short, but this is something that I've adopted probably around April, I believe, when I had moved into a new kind of career, commission only. I've done commission only before, but I've definitely stayed away from it over the years just because I didn't like the volatility, and more importantly, I wasn't ready to get out of my comfort zone, which was having a steady paycheck and knowing that some money was coming in. I was going to be able to pay my bills, right? Like that brought me so much stress. And so I stayed away from things that pushed me. And so, but my morning prayer. So this is what I say every single morning. And this has helped me understand the importance of patience. And it has actually like increased my faith in a higher power. And so hopefully some of you guys may adopt this, some of you won't, and that's totally fine. But for those of you that I hope it finds a way in your heart and in your mind, and you end up incorporating it in your own way. That will help you guys start to build patience and faith. But my prayer that I say every morning when I wake up is, I surrender my fears, my worries, and my expectations, and I trust in your guidance and support. Okay? I surrender my fears, my worries, and my expectations, and I trust in your guidance and your support. And I cannot tell you guys how big that has been for me. No lie. Like, it has been huge for me to remove myself from the results. Because for me, and I'm sure maybe you guys can relate, everything was about the result. If I was not getting the result right away, there was a problem, right? It was something that I haven't done or didn't do or forgot to do or don't have or whatever the case it was. And so when I say this prayer, it alleviates all that stress. It alleviates all that worry. It alleviates the expectation that I need what I need now. And I put faith in that higher power and that belief within myself that I'm going to get it. Like I said before, it's inevitable. I'm going to receive all that I desire, but it will not be on my time. And I'm okay with that because I know I'm going to get it. And so that prayer alone helps me kind of stabilize my thoughts, right, and my ambitions to get whatever it is I want. And it's helped me practice patience, and it's helped me increase and build my faith. And so I want to share with you guys like a story as regards to, or an experience of how divine timing played out in my life. And I'll share one experience here with you. And yeah, and we'll go from there. There's been there's a lot, right? There's a lot of experiences that I can recount that have been that gut feeling, that have been that divine timing. But probably the biggest one and the most recent one is, and I think I've shared the story on a previous episode as well, but for those of you that haven't heard it, so in January of 2024, I got laid off. So I worked for a company for a full year. So I started in January of 2023, and then I got laid off in January like 28th or something, like 26th, something like that, in 2024. And I was without a job from whenever I got laid off in January up until, like, I want to say that the first part of April. I think I got hired in like March of like, or March like 26, something like that, right? And so I was laid off for that whole entire time. Mind you, I've been putting in, I think I put in over, I want to say over 35 applications to different places, all different places. You know, marketing and customer service and manager roles and commission jobs, like all over. I had one employer reach back out, one out of all that whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, okay, I have work experience, right? A lot of working experience in the fields that I was applying for. I got a bachelor's degree. Maybe that means something nowadays. Probably doesn't. But I work for it. So I have a bachelor's degree. You know, I got a letter of recommendation from previous employers. Like, I just thought, like, okay, with my experience, like, it shouldn't be hard for me to pick up a job. And again, I don't know if this was because the economy in that time frame was down, or people weren't hiring. I don't know, or what it was, or if it was I was too sporadic on my job history. I don't know. But what I do know is I wasn't getting any callbacks. And in this time frame from January into March, right, I'm doing a lot of like just prayer, and I'm doing a lot of reflecting and trying to just better myself and figuring out, okay, where am I going? Because I've seen this story before, right? Years ago, I've seen this story before, right? Where I've had a job, been unemployed, gotten, you know, all that stuff. It's kind of repeating itself. But I was tired of the story repeating itself. And so, you know, I started doing a lot of reflecting, and I'm like, man, like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And most importantly, why do I keep finding myself in the same situation? Why do I keep finding myself where I'm at a job for a year, I'm at a job for 2 years, and then I leave, or whatever happens? And the biggest thing that I came to understand was that I was living too comfortably. And through prayer, I got an understanding that, listen, if you want all of these things that you say you want, Michael, and you want this particular lifestyle, then the way in which you're moving, the way in which you're living, the way in which you're taking action, you are not going to get what you say you want. This is what I'm receiving, right? Or understanding. And I'm like, yeah, you're so right. But I was scared. Like, I was literally scared to like jump out there and just try things or go to commission only jobs, because I'm like, man, like, what if, right? What if I don't get paid? What if I don't get paid in time and my mortgage is due? What if I can't pay my bills? Like, what happens? Am I going to lose my house? You know, like, am I going to have enough money to put, you know, food on the table, car and or gas in my car? Like, all these things, right? All this doubt kept coming up, and I was doubting myself. I was doubting my abilities. Even though if you look back in past experiences, for me anyway, I can show you where I've done tremendous things, right? And I've done things that were hard and that took discipline, but you lose sight of all that. Like, you know, you don't like pay attention to like what you did. It's just like part of what, like when you ask me like, oh, did you go to college? You passed, you had a 4-year degree. Yeah. Like, I look at it as like, yeah, okay. Like, everyone does that. No, not everyone does that. You know what I mean? Oh, you went to the military for you. Yeah, everyone does. No, not everyone does that. Not everyone can withstand that. Not everybody chooses to do that. You know what I mean? So if you guys are anything like me, you just lose sight of what you've accomplished and how brilliant you can be, and how action oriented you can be, and how just, I don't know, courageful. Is that a word? I'm not even sure if that's a word, but you guys know what I'm saying. And so anyway, I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm going to surrender all my fears, all my worries, all my expectations, and I'm just going to take action, and I'm just going to trust that whatever happens, it's going to happen for a reason. And so, long story short, didn't have a job from January all the way to March. I randomly this is funny. So let me bring you back. 2011, I worked for a life insurance company, and we were door to door, right? And I did that for a year. And at that time, it only lasted for a year because I was like, man, I didn't have the right mindset at the time. Just had bought a house, just had my son, or was about to have my son, got married the year before, like all this stuff, right? So I'm like, I needed consistency. I needed something stable. I need security. And so that job only lasted a year. Fast forward, in March, I get a random email. I didn't even apply for this job. I get a random email from a gentleman, Marcus to be exact, who's now one of my mentors and trainers. And it's like, hey, apply for this, watch this webinar about the company. If you like it, then, we can potentially set up an interview afterwards. So I watched this webinar. The company that I'm watching is looking very familiar. Like everything they're saying, I'm like, man, I know this. Like I've seen this company before. I get on a phone call with Marcus. He calls me, and we're chatting it up. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, I don't know if you guys are the same company, but I used to work for a company back in the day who did this, this, and this. And he was like, yeah, we're the same company. He's like, we're just online now. I'm like, what? What is the coincidence of that happening, right? What is the coincidence of me not getting any callbacks from anyone? The one callback I do get is from a company that I worked for back in 2011. And I'm like, yo. And it's commission only. So I'm like, okay. Right? So now I'm bugging out. Now I'm like, damn, like, whoa, this is happening for a reason. There's a reason why I didn't get any callbacks. There's a reason why I wasn't getting a job. Quick story. Here's a metaphor of how when I talk about certainty and being comfortable. Quick metaphor of my life, right? So I think I've told this before, but think of yourself standing in front of your front door. Right, you're in the inside of the house. You're looking at your front door. The inside of your house represents certainty, represents comfort, right? Represents stability, right? So that may equate to you having a stable job. You're making enough income, right, to pay your bills, right? You're in a position to where it's like you're comfortable, right? You don't really need to stretch too much, or you feel that you need to stretch too much. Like you're comfortable. Now, if you open that front door, right, there's a space between the front door and outside, right? And when I was having my conversations with the higher power, right, I'm like, okay, so me putting my foot outside that front door, that space, that represents me taking action or taking risk. So what does that look like? I try to do life coaching, right? And so that was me opening up a business and trying that, right? There were other ventures that I tried that I'm like, okay, let me dip my toe in and see what it feels like. But every single time, without failure, I always put my foot back over the door, inside the door, and I always close the door because it just felt, putting that foot over, it just felt it was a little scary. You know what I mean? Like it's a little risky, and I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like the feeling of that vulnerability of not knowing. And then fast forward to me getting laid off. That, to me, was the higher power saying, okay, you keep telling me that you want these things, you want this lifestyle, you want the car, and you don't want to have any financial worries, and you want to be able to take your kids and just do whatever they want and whatever. Okay. You want that? Bet. You're now laid off. I will not give you a job. No one will call you back. And I'm going to force you outside that door. So now, right? Hindsight. Now I have been pushed outside of the door. I turn around and try to get back in. The door is locked. I cannot get in. So now I'm in the world. I'm in the outside world, exposed, right? Uncomfortable, unfamiliar territory. And I have no choice but to move forward. I have no choice but to take steps farther into the unknown, farther into the world of vulnerability, farther into the world of being uncomfortable. That, my friends, is a scary ass feeling, especially when you have responsibilities and priorities, right? So I'm now being forced to say, okay, if I want what I say I want, you are being forced to change. You are being forced to go into the unknown. So I get this commission only job. I started in April. I'm selling life insurance. I sold it before, but it's different. So I walked into this opportunity with an open mindset saying, you know what? I'm not going to walk into it like, oh, I know everything and I've sold this before, blah, blah, blah. I walk into it as if I'm brand new. Teach me. I have no idea. Because at this point, I have nowhere to go, right? Like I was literally probably on my last couple of $100. I think I had like $400 to my name. Mind you, I have a mortgage alone that's like $1,600, whatever it was, $1,700. So I'm on my last $400. At this time, I've surrendered so much of myself. I'm like, you know what? What else am I going to do? There's no turning back. So I listen to my mentors. I listen to my trainers. I'm putting in this work. April, I think I might have made a couple $100. That's a lie. My mentor, my trainer, I was telling him about my situation. He saw in me my work ethic. Like I showed up. I was asking him questions. I'm reaching out to him. Hey, when are we going to train? Like, how do I do this? Right? I'm after his ass. Right? Like, yo, I need to make this work. This has to work. There is no other alternative. There is no plan B. And I think he saw that. I know he saw that, and he was like, you know what? We normally don't like give you the sales in the beginning for a couple of sales just to make sure that you know what you're doing. But every time you make a sale in the training phase, I'm just going to give you the advancement. I'm just going to give it to you. So he did me a solid, bro, and actually gave me my advancements in training for me to keep going. And so that was huge because that allowed me to just go a little bit further, right? It gave me another couple of days. It gave me another week or whatever. April didn't make much money at all. May, I made I don't know, maybe 2,500 that month. I don't know. June, I made 5,500. July, right? I've already made what I made in all month of June, and we're not even done yet. So again, divine timing. Everything happens for a reason. I was kicked out of that doorway for a reason. I was laid off for a reason. So I didn't understand that at the time because the only thing I understood at that time was shit. Now what am I going to do? Right? But as I allowed myself, as I surrendered my fears and my expectations of what I thought the world was owed me and what I wanted, I said, you know what? I'm just going to trust that if I show up, it's going to happen. And so that's my experience with divine timing. And I'm sure that you guys can all have your own experiences. So I do want you guys at some point after this video, at some point during the week, to take some time to just really reflect on how has divine timing and trusting the process showed up in your life. Has it been coincidence that seemed like it's a coincidence? Has it been a gut feeling like, ooh, I just feel like I should do this, or I should say this, or this should happen, right? Or has it been you overcoming challenges, right? Just think about that. I also want you guys to learn to see setbacks as part of divine timing. I think a lot of the times we see setbacks or failures as like, we're not meant for this. It's not our time, or like, I should be doing something else. But I think that if you guys can start to reflect on like particular setbacks and failures and things that aren't working out, that's part of your divine timing. That's part of the process, right? And that's what I find so fascinating about trusting the process, because you just never know. You just never know when that thing's going to kick off and things are going to turn around for you, right? You just never know. And it's almost a thrill or a rush. At the same time, it's scary as hell to have that uncertainty and that vulnerability. Because on one hand, you're scared. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, there's no certainty that it's going to play out in your favor. On the other hand, it's like tomorrow could be that day. Tomorrow you could, right? Things could turn up for you. Things could change for you. But I think obviously with faith and belief, that scale is gonna lean more towards, right, the uncertainty and I wouldn't say maybe not being okay with the uncertainty, but allowing yourself to be in touch with that more than you are with the doubt and the fear. And so things will come together when they are ready, right? Trust in a higher power that they have a plan for you, and so if you're not someone that's into faith or believing in a higher power, totally fine, to each his own. I'm just letting you know like what has transpired in my life and what has worked for me. And so I would encourage you to, if you're not going to find faith, then find some companionship, find some mentorship, find someone that you trust and that or you'd like to get to know, that you feel encompasses the qualities and the characteristics that you want to have, or is someone that is living the life that you want to have, and have them mentor you, shadow you, and be that partner that walks you through that journey that you're on. But these moments often carry lessons, or they redirect us towards something better, which is so damn true, right? Like I was making $70,000 at my previous job, and I'm gonna blow that out of the water this year. But even though it was like at the time, it was like, man, it was sad and it was hurtful, and I didn't know what was gonna happen. Look what has transpired in that amount of time frame, right? I am in a much better position. I am heading towards a life that I've always said that I wanted. I just never knew when I was going to get it. And it's happening in front of my eyes. It's happening, right? It's happening. And so there are blessings in the setbacks that we endure. You just got to take the time to recognize for what it is, right? It's not saying that you're a failure in this moment. It's not saying that you're never going to get what you're going to have. It's not saying that you're never going to have the relationship that you want. It's not saying any of that. It's just saying right now in this present moment, you are not ready for what you are wanting to receive, right? Don't confuse not now with never, right? Don't confuse not now with never. They're not one and the same, right? Look at the setbacks, learn from them, embrace them. Yes, embrace that shitty feeling that you have. Embrace the doubt that you have, because when you do that, you now have an opportunity. You now create the chance and the change to see it for what it is, and to say, okay, I'm gonna make a decision. Yes, I feel crappy. Yes, this hurts. It stings. Yes, I feel miserable, but I can change that if I want to. Only if I want to. So what are some practical tips to cultivate patience and to trust the process, right? So for me, I practice mindfulness. Now, I mentioned that before. Mindfulness is which you are aware of your thoughts. You're aware of how you react to certain situations and things that experiences that come into your life, right? You're aware of how you bounce back. You're aware of how you talk to yourself, right? You're aware of the people that are surrounding you, and are they a great influence on you? Are they a bad influence on you, right? What kind of influence are they having on your life? Are they picking you up, or are they always putting you down? Are they telling you that you can do more, you can do better, right? And they're trying to elevate you, or are they doing the opposite? So just be mindful of the way you think and the way you act and the way you feel on a day-to-day basis. And by doing so, you can create the change. You can change each one of those phases. You can change how you think. You can change how you feel. You can change how you act. It's a choice, right? A lot of us get sucked into the thought that things can't change because you're leaving all of the, I guess, power or the will to external circumstances. No, right? We're not fully in control of everything, but these are the elements that we can control. We can control how we feel. We can control how we act, right? And we can control how we think, which are powerful tools that you have at your disposal. You just got to be willing to make the decision to act on it, to do it. And if you don't, that's also a decision, right? Practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude, right? I may not have the exact house that I want, but I got a house and it's mine, right? Like, I may not have the car that I want, but I have a car and it's mine. And it gets me from where I need to get to. And it allows me to take my son where he needs to go, right? I'm grateful for everything that I have. And it's funny because when I say my prayer, I include gratitude in there, but I always find myself like saying the same things that I'm grateful for, which I got to work on, but I don't know. But I'm always practicing some type of gratitude. So I would say for you in order to embrace, to cultivate the patience and to trust the process is to practice gratitude, right? For the smallest things that you have, for, you being healthy. Right. I'm talking to people every day that have some type of ailment that they either cannot overcome, or they're always taking some medication for the rest of their life. Right. Or they can't bounce back from, or it's some of those are, their lives are, it's over. Right. May not be in that moment, but what they have and what they're dealing with, it's inevitable that they're going to pass on. And so I'm grateful that each and every day my health is intact. Right. That's nothing to take lightly, right? So always practice gratitude for even the smallest things that you have, bro. It may not be the stuff that you want, but at least you have it, right? At least you have the ability to change it, and then give 100% effort. It's inevitable that you will get what you want if you just give 100% effort. And if you can't start off with 100%, then do yourself a solid and do 50%. Do 25%. No one's saying that you got to jump all in. No one's saying that you got to go from never having a commission job to just jumping into a full commission job when you know you have responsibilities. No, take steps, right? If you need to, if more money, if we're talking about money and you need more money, and you know that sales is an avenue in which can get you that, or whatever the case may be, then okay, go get you a 9-to-5, something that's steady, and then get you a little side hustle. Right? And build up the side hustle. If you want to be your own business owner, okay, go get you a 9-to-5 so you have some stability, and then build your business on the side until you get to a point where that business is now creating the same, if not more, income than what your stable job was. And now you can leave that job and go work on your full-time craft of what you truly want, right? Take steps, but give 100% effort in all that you do, because you can't expect to receive what you aren't willing to work for, right? I mean, I'm all for manifesting, but you got to put in some work. It takes action. It takes effort. It takes consistency, discipline, right? It takes the right mindset and the right mind frame to stay in it, because you're going to face adversity. So you got to put in effort, bro, ma'am, so, man, that's the message that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I find the process of life to be very fascinating, very intriguing. Because as I look back and reflect on my own experiences, there's so much of divine timing that's in there. I literally think every action and inaction that I've ever taken has all been a part of the process. The things that I've said and haven't said has all led me to where I am right now, right? The jobs that I've quit, the relationships that have failed, whatever, have all led me to who I am in this moment right now, speaking with you, and where I am in my life and what I have in my life. And by me knowing that, and now increasing my spirituality, my faith, and my belief in myself, and all of that, imagine where I'm going to be in 5 years. God forbid I'm not taken out of here. But, right, if I just continue on this path and I'm putting in effort, I'm doing all these things that I'm sharing with you, imagine where I'll be in 5 years. Imagine where you'll be in 5 years, in 2 years, in 6 months, in 6 weeks, right? You just have to make a decision. You have to make a decision for yourself. So I encourage you all to reflect on your experiences with divine timing. I encourage you all to, utilize or put in place some of the practical tips that I've shared with you to create and cultivate patience and trust in the process. And, if you just, man, stay the path, bro. Stay the path and continue to cultivate yourself and continue to believe in yourself and continue to just listen. We're only looking to get 1% better every day. 1%. Don't try and go out and be Superman, bro, or lady, and try to do a 360 from who you are and turn into somebody totally different the next day. It don't work like that. You're setting yourself up for failure. 1% different every day. 1% better. Right? You want to get healthy? Okay. Tomorrow, you're going to eat one fruit. The next day, you're going to eat one fruit. The day after that, you're going to eat one fruit. The day after that, you're going to eat one fruit and one fruit and one fruit. Right? Building consistency. You're getting 1% better each day. Right? Don't listen. If you're unhealthy and you might be obese or overweight or not to where you want to be, and your refrigerator don't have anything of green in it whatsoever, don't try to go the next day and buy all vegetable stuff and turn into a vegan and or a vegetarian and stop eating meat. Bruh, come on now. We can't that you gonna listen, it's gonna hurt. Don't do that. Take your time. Take steps. So again, I encourage you all to reflect and to make changes in the life that you need to in order to have the life that you want, right? Man, I love talking to you guys. I appreciate you guys for showing up and giving me your support. And for those of you guys that are leaving comments and asking me questions, I thrive off of that. You know what I mean? Like, I love doing the podcasting stuff. Listen, we're gonna turn up. And as I've told you guys before, like, my whole thing with the podcast and just my presence on social media is to just give back and just help others be the people that they want to be, right? In every facet of their lives, and to help others succeed, because I was once that guy, and I'm still that guy to a certain extent, right? I'm always going to be learning. There's always room for me to improve. And, yeah, man, it's just a beautiful thing. And I want everyone to have that feeling when you wake up and you're doing things on your own time, and like, you don't have any worries. You're not worried about your bills being paid. You're not worried about, what you're going to wear. You're not worried about putting gas in your car. You're not worried about how long somewhere, if you got to travel somewhere, how long it's going to take. Like, you just living life. You just enjoying life. That's a beautiful feeling. And we're all going to get there. So again, I appreciate you guys for tapping in with me once again. For those of you guys that are, on YouTube, please continue to leave your comments, ask questions. I love your guys' feedback. Hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And again, if you're listening on the podcast, please rate the show. Love your support. And, as I always say, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, family.